Gather around, children, my children. We need to have an emergency meeting, probably the most emergency meeting we've ever held in this club here. I'm going to just start applying my makeup. I won't really tell you what I'm using, so I'll do my absolute best not to forget later in the evening to just link everything, or not link, but like tell you what products I used in the description box, so that at the very least you know how I achieved the look. But I don't want to get too distracted while I'm talking, because I don't want to lose my train of thought. So yesterday, as we all know, was big reveal day. The yearly Mothership palette is going to be, you know, released very, very soon, and yesterday was the first announcement of the inside of the palette. And I was at work all day, I was really excited, and towards the end of the day I knew that the release would be coming, so I was just getting more and more pumped. And then I realized as I was leaving work that actually they're going to do the announcement right when I'm biking home. So I was like, you know what, just to be safe, I will take like breaks every now and then, just like stop on the side of the road somewhere safe, so that I can not be distracted while biking, looking at the palette. And then the palette was supposed to be announced at 17:30 local time here in the Netherlands. So a few minutes into me biking home, the release was out, and I stopped on the side of the road and I looked at the reel, and my heart sank. Okay, I was like, oh my gosh, I am so disappointed, because first of all, the combination of the lighting also, I think, didn't do this palette any favors, but it literally looked like hues of pink. Like if you look at the reel, it just looks like hues of pink. And we're going to go back to, you know, my personal stance on her color stories and all of that a little bit later, but like my heart literally sank. And not even more so because of the color story, but because as soon as the camera glided over the corner where the special shades are located, I saw the metal pans and my heart just sank into my knees, and I wanted to start weeping in the middle of the street on my bike, because that just solidified my fear that the baked shades are being phased out. We are not going to get those back. So all of you who are like me daydreaming of getting another Blitz Astral Quad release for some holidays in the future, you can kiss that dream goodbye. The oven has left the labs. That's it. Done. Over. I don't think we're going to see that formula again. I think we need to cherish our Motherships 1 through 9 and keep our fingers crossed that if in the future we decide to repurchase these palettes, we are still going to be able to purchase them with the original formula, and that they're not going to sneakily substitute all of the special shades to be the non-baked formula in the future. Like, I am literally having anxiety over whether I should go and repurchase some of my favorite palettes just to make sure that I'm never out of the baked formula. Now, I've made it very clear also in the past that I don't quite understand all of the extreme amount of criticism that Pat McGrath Labs is getting. Whatever they do, people are unhappy. So I want to make it clear that I am very realistic about why she keeps making pink palettes, because to this day I constantly hear from people, especially when it comes to Motherships 1 through 3, which are what we consider to be Pat at her true best artistry levels. We here love these palettes and want her to go back to those, but I regularly hear from people who don't know what to do with these palettes. So I understand. Past Mothership 7, she's finally gotten a little bit more mainstream, more people are appreciating her palettes because they deem them more approachable. I'm not stupid, I understand that. She's, you know, here to sell product, not to cater to the average Pat McGrath obsessed lover. With that said, I still don't understand how we can't make a cool-toned neutral palette work, because if Natasha Denona can do it with the Glam palette, so can Pat. If Natasha Denona can make something like the Yucca palette and people go crazy over that, so can Pat McGrath Labs. But I don't know whether there's like pressure from external parties, and I can also, you know, see the yin and yang, the moon and the sun. I get it, okay? Moonlit Seduction, maybe they had already decided already last year when Moonlit Seduction was released that the palette this year will be Sunlit Seduction. By me, they could have just done them together, Moonlit and Sunlit together in like a little duo, and everyone could pick, do you want both, do you want one over the other, you know, and then we're done with the Moonlit and Sunlit theme and we can move on to something else. So when I saw the release, I was just sad and extremely disappointed because, like I said, my biggest concern and the concern that unfortunately was confirmed and like set in stone now is that we're not getting the baked shades back, but also, you know, the color story. It is just so pink. Everything that we didn't want it to be, everything we were hoping for it not to be, it is. You know, it is lots of pinky, mauve hues and repetitive ones at that. You know, I'm like, okay, you know, Sunlit Seduction. I would even take toasty browns at this point. Give me like interesting toasty browns. I can do those. Oranges, more bronzes, fine. But can we stop with the same hue of pink? Literally a few months ago with the Love collection, she released a whole palette that was centered around the pink hues. It just seems to me like even within the same color story, she's repeating the same hues, so I don't understand that. Like from a business standpoint, I get it. A lot of people are now coming into Pat McGrath Labs. A lot of people just want like very approachable, everyday friendly shades, so I can see how a lot of the shades in the new palette are going to appeal to them. And I can also understand that to a lot of people, the baked formula and that texture is totally irrelevant. A lot of people just don't give a crap whether the shades are baked or not. I do, because I feel a very specific way about that formula. That formula is one of the reasons that I fell in love with the brand to begin with. That formula is to me what made Pat McGrath stand out. And this new formula, honestly, you can buy around every corner at every indie shop. Like that dense metallic glittery formula is nothing new on the market. The baked interesting shades, the textures, the glitteriness, the duochromes, the specific like tones of these eyeshadows, that is what truly made the Pat McGrath Mothership palettes to me stand out, because I had never experienced an elegant texture that, like this, that layers so well and that just looks so classy on the lids. Like, that's luxury that I'm willing to pay for. But like eyeshadow color story that if we were to close our eyes and imagine that it's not in the black lacquer packaging and put it in any other sort of packaging, we would probably not buy. That's just the way it is. And because the textures are now so plain, that makes it even less appealing. And a lot of you are probably now wondering whether I am planning on even purchasing the Mothership 11 palette. I'll be honest with you, I am not 100% sure. This is the first year ever that I am not 100% sure that I want to buy the palette at release day. Usually I have no doubts about it. Even last year with Moonlit Seduction, when it was clear that the baked shades are not going to be baked anymore, I still bought it at release day because at the very least I thought it was an interesting color story. And usually with Pat I know that there is a lot more, you know, dimension, and the shades look so much more alive once you get them in your hands. And while that was the case for a couple of shades in the Moonlit Seduction palette, I feel like the corner of the special shades especially sort of lacked that kind of dimensionality this time. Yeah, VR's Extraterrestrial is a very pretty shade, but like I said, these kind of shades have been done, redone, overdone, and it's just such a boring duochrome. Anyway, moving away from that, so I don't know. I want to be the kind of person that can reason and be like, okay, you don't need this palette, like one bit. You have all of these shades probably in the better like baked formula. I think a lot of these shades look similar to stuff that I have in her other palettes and probably also in the baked formula. So realistically, I do not need this palette one bit. but there is also, and I don't want to say the collector in me, because I don't think I'm a collector of Pat McGrath. You know that I've skipped on quite a few of her palettes. More recently, the whole Love collection, I had absolutely no interest in purchasing any of that, nor do I still have any interest in that. I sold my Celestial Divinity quads from 2 years ago because they were absolutely horrendous. But when it comes to the Mothership, I need you to understand, before judging me, that to me, that is the highlight of the year, the moment that I'm waiting for, year in, year out, and I feel like something's been taken away from me this year. And one of the other like first thoughts that I had after I saw the reveal of Mothership 11 was, oh gosh, I have to wait another year to even hope for to get something different. And like at least in color, sorry, because obviously we're not getting the shades, the bake shades back. But I have to wait a whole year before something different may or may not be released. That just like, I went there on like an absolute downwards trajectory all the way up until I got home. I don't know how I wasn't actually in tears by the time I got home, because the first thing I came home and then I told my husband that I'm really sad, and he was like, why, what happened? And I was like, well, the new Mothership was announced and I don't like it. And he immediately understood, because he understands my feelings for Pat McGrath Labs. But to go back to what I was saying, this is the release that I anticipate with the most excitement each year, and I don't know that I'm quite ready to let go of a Mothership and to not purchase it on release day. With that said, depending on the release day, because the release day will probably not be for at least another week, I'm going on holiday in mid-August, and I will not purchase the palette if I'm not completely utterly sure that it's going to arrive before I leave, because I'm gone for 2 weeks, and if the palette arrives at a time that I'm not here, then I'm in trouble. So if it turns out that she's releasing it too late and I don't trust her express shipping to actually work in an expressed manner, I will not purchase the palette until the end of August. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know if until the end of August I will not have reached a point where I have actually talked myself completely out of buying the palette, because right now, you know, everything is still fresh. I still have a lot of FOMO. I still have a lot of like feelings about, oh, can I really not buy a Mothership palette? Is this going to be, am I really at the point where I'm ready to not buy a Mothership palette? I think next year I may be at this point, but this year I cannot guarantee that I'm at this point. So I don't want to say that I will be, you know, in Dutch they say sober. I don't know whether in English you would say that, but I don't know whether I will be like the earthbound, grounded human who can be like, nah, this Mothership is not for me, and I can easily skip that or wait until it's on like major discount, because I think this palette is going to flop actually. But I just don't know that I'm quite there yet. So maybe you will still see a video of this palette in the near future, but also I'm like, what are the chances that you're going to give any sort of like positive review on this palette? I don't really know. It's almost like I'm setting this palette up for the hate and disappointment here. So I'm just, you know, thinking more and more whether I shouldn't just sit this one out. And I've been thinking about going back to that cosmetic outlet store and buying more baked Bobbi Brown shades, because then at least I'm getting what I want in the formula that I want. But if I'm not going to be excited for Pat McGrath, what am I going to be excited for? I don't know what to be excited for. I don't know which brand to be excited for anymore. There's literally not a single brand out there that excites me as much as Pat McGrath Labs. But now that they've like slowly been taking a direction that I'm really not on board with, I feel like we are slowly heading towards the inevitable ugly end. And I really fear for myself that that's going to sort of like kill my passion for makeup, at least like to a very large extent diminish my excitement for makeup, and I don't want that to happen. Makeup is such a like hobby, such a passion for me. If I'm not doing makeup, what the fuck am I going to do then? And this is not even the end of the story. So I made the bold choice to comment underneath the announcement video, and unfortunately I can't tell you like the exact wording that I had underneath the post, but it was something in the lines of no baked shades and so many pink shades I'm disappointed, something in those lines. I said basically that I was disappointed. And then a couple of other people commented underneath my post, and especially people who hadn't really noticed that the special shades are not in the baked formula. And at one point I was very surprised to see that they had deleted my comment. Like, my comment wasn't disrespectful, I wasn't being sarcastic, none of that. I just expressed my genuine disappointment, nothing more than that. But after that, I was honestly a little bit irritated, but I still, well, I was mildly sarcastic. But basically I went back on the comment section underneath the announcement reel, and I said something in the lines of, deleting people's comments will not delete their disappointment, but you know, good luck with that, or something like that. So I was, you know, I was mildly sarcastic. And at that point, they blocked me. Of all the people out there, me, the absolute biggest fangirl, basically, like, you look at my YouTube channel is an ode of, you know, love towards Pat McGrath and her brand. I got blocked. And I will not pretend that I didn't know about it. In the past, I've sort of always like ignored the fact that they do that, because I didn't want to feel negatively about Pat. Because to me, there's the brand, there is the Instagram team who's operating her IG account, and then there is Pat herself, the woman. I think she's adorable, I think she's an absolute icon. I have so much respect for her as a woman of color, as an artist, as everything. So I kind of like keep Pat in a different like compartment in my brain, and I want her to be untouched there. But honestly, it's getting more and more difficult for me. So after that, I basically said on my Instagram stories that I got blocked, and a lot of you are absolute sweethearts, and you came to my rescue and you tagged the brand saying that it's absolutely preposterous that, you know, someone who loves the brand so deeply as I do is getting blocked. I truly, to this moment, do not know what to do with this situation. I truly don't know. Am I supposed to like fall out of love with the brand now? I will tell you this, I will not stop enjoying my Pat McGrath makeup. I am using a bunch of my Pat McGrath makeup today because I think that, I hope that my feelings for the way things were handled on Instagram are not going to cloud my feelings for the makeup, and they're not going to cloud my feelings for Pat herself. But like I said, it's getting more and more difficult because I'm comparing Pat's IG team now to Lisa Eldridge's IG team. The IG team of Lisa Eldridge literally goes out of their way to make sure that every single customer feels beautiful and appreciated. They always post, like they always comment when you post a look with their products or you mention them in your stories. When I mentioned in my stories last year that my blush broke, and it had already been a year after I had purchased it, I had no expectations further than saying, oh crap, you know, this happened. They contacted me and they gave me immediately a voucher for the price of the blush because they couldn't send me a new blush because these have been pulled out to be repackaged in a better way. But they gave me basically like store credit for the amount of the blush without me asking for it, without me even like implying that that's something that they should do. So you see the absolute huge difference, and of course I understand that the size of the brand Lisa Eldridge is a lot smaller compared to the size of the brand Pat McGrath Labs. Pat McGrath Labs at this point is like $1 billion business or something, and there are probably like larger investors involved. Like on the business side, there's probably things are probably a lot more grandiose on the side of Pat McGrath Labs. But I feel like Pat should have at least some idea what's going on her IG account, and if that is the case, then I would be truly sad and I would truly start feeling completely differently about the makeup. I hope, with like wholeheartedly, I hope that she has no idea what's going on her IG account, and in my head I'm imagining her Instagram like account manager team as like a horde of teenagers with their phones, like Gen Z, who have been given too much power. I could, you know, look past that to continue loving the brand. But if I knew that Pat is aware of what they are up to, how they're basically deleting every negative comment, blocking people, I would be so incredibly disappointed that I don't know if there's any like coming back from that. So isn't this whole situation just really sad? I don't know, what would you do if you were in my place? How would you feel about this? I still don't know how to feel about this. I'm still a little bit like numb and unsure what I'm supposed to do with this going further. Something about Jeffrey and the lights. I don't know whether I should make an actual like effort to get unblocked, because my friend Claudia was blocked by them again for expressing her criticism and disappointment a couple of years ago, but she was blocked for a relatively short amount of time. They unblocked her after 2 months. But one of you told me that you had been blocked for like 2 years. Like obviously whether or not I can follow them on Instagram is not like super relevant. Of course I can still go on the website, I will still see Trend Moods post and everyone else's, you know, posts of what she's releasing, so it's not like I'm going to miss out on anything because I'm not following her Instagram about. It's more about the attitude, you know. So I'm not really sure what to do about this. Would you make an extra effort to get like unblocked? Would you demand an apology of sorts? Honestly, I don't think they're going to give me any sort of apology. I don't think they give a shit about me. They have no idea who the fuck I am, and that's really not going to change. But I don't know, what would you do if you were in my shoes? I'm just curious. I did not expect this release to escalate so badly, so I don't really know where we go from here. I don't know whether you're going to see me demo this new palette, and if I do, I can almost guarantee you that I'm going to be probably negative about it, because it's just not a color story that particularly excites me, nor are there any textures in there that I am super excited about. So overall, I almost feel like I would be hate buying this palette to like hate on it, and that's just really unfair to also the brand, because I'm sure that a lot of people are truly going to enjoy Sunlit Seduction. I finished doing my makeup while gathering my final thoughts. I mean, in the end of the day, it's just makeup, it's really not that deep. I'll just naturally see how my, you know, relationship with the brand evolves in the future, and we're going to find out together whether I remain a fangirl or I, you know, slowly kind of like take a different path, or I balance a little bit more my feelings towards the brand to be a lot more neutral than they are right now. With that said, you know, I still think that there are a lot of things that they're doing right. I still think they are a superior brand to a lot of other things that are on the market. I'm just really a little bit anxious to see what direction they're taking, because in the last few years I've also had this like nagging little like voice in my head thinking, is Pat even really involved, like deeply involved with making these as she was in the past? Because I'm convinced that when the labs were first released, when Motherships 1 through, I don't know, 6, 7 were out, she was still deeply involved with the creation, like the creative process of making these palettes. But now I'm like, is she even involved? Or if she's involved, how much like external pressure plays into the interpretation of her makeup? I don't know. Don't get me wrong, I still think the makeup is really high quality. I'm going to continue enjoying it. I'm going to continue being defending them in a lot of circumstances when a lot of other people would probably feel other ways about it. You know that when the whole debacle with the sticker on their Star Wars palettes happened, I was here to defend them because I truly didn't see the problem. But like overall, I'm a little bit concerned that the brand is a little bit in a decline, because they refuse to like fix their shipping and customer service. They treat their customers pretty poorly on Instagram, and you know, we can all continue to pretend that it's not happening, but unfortunately it is happening. And yeah, you know, I don't know what to do about this. I don't know what to think of it. What do you guys think of it? Does it sour you towards the brand? Please let me know in the comment section below. I can't wait to chat with you. I'm very curious what you think about this palette. Honestly, absolutely not a single hard feeling if you are in love with the palette. You know, we are all different, we all have different tastes, different preferences, and if you're a super huge fan of this color story and you actually do not like the baked shades and you're happy that they're being substituted by this other formula, then more power to you. I'm super happy for you. That's all I'm gonna say, you know, that should not kill your personal, you know, excitement for Mothership 11. Anyway, now I'm going to close off this rambling because I really need to also head to work, but we're going to see each other in the comment section below as usual. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!